In 1991, someone took a photograph of a woman in white sitting on a broken monument. It became the most analyzed ghost photograph in America. Nobody has ever debunked it. But I didn't drive down here for the woman in white. I drove down here for what's behind her. You see, it's very interesting. If you look past your shoulder, there's nothing. No roads, no towns, no houses. So where did an entire town go in Cook County without anybody tearing it down? And what's sitting at the bottom of the pond, just a few hundred feet from where she's sitting? And why is everyone so obsessed with it? This is Bachelor's Grove, 1 acre, 88 graves, and it's tucked into the Rubio Woods Forest Preserve, about 25 miles south of Chicago. They say it's the most haunted place in the Midwest, and I'm going to make the case that the haunting is real, but it has nothing to do with ghosts. The name is a small mystery of its own. Some say it came from a family named Bachelor who settled nearby. Most people think it's simpler, that the first people to clear this grove were single men, bachelors. A grove full of bachelors, which is either the setup to a joke or the least surprising reason in the world that a town eventually died out. Because there was a town. In the 1830s, this wasn't woods. The settlers cleared it. English, Irish, and Scottish families out of New York and New England. This used to have a post office. This used to be a place where you could mail a letter. The post office closed in 1858, and families moved on, as families do. And then something happened that this video is actually about. Nobody burned it down or paved it over, the forest just came back. So here's how that works. You clear a patch of the Midwest and stop tending it, and it does not stay a field. First, the fast, opportunistic stuff like goldenrod and asters, and then the weeds, and then shrubs, and then the trees that grow quick and die young. A few decades on, oak and hickory close the canopy and shade everything else out. A farm becomes a forest in a single human lifetime. The sawmill, the post office, all taken by the trees, root by root. And what's left is 1 acre of headstones the forest couldn't quite swallow. There's one more piece of the vanished town people still claim to see. A farmhouse. It's white, with 2 stories, sometimes a porch swing, a picket fence, sitting back in the trees off the path, glowing faintly through a window even when nobody's home. People who find it all describe the same thing. They walk toward it, it shrinks and it fades. They blink and it's gone. No foundation or debris, nothing on record to say a house was ever there. Except there was. There's a photograph of a real farmhouse on this land, dated back to 1914. Neighbors remember picnics on that lawn into the 60s. By the early 70s, it was gone, torn down quietly, like everything else out here, with no one left keeping records. So maybe the vanishing house isn't a haunting. Maybe it's just what happens when a real house comes down quietly, and the memory of it outlives the paperwork. The house didn't disappear in the woods that night. It disappeared decades earlier in broad daylight, and nobody wrote it down. And this is the part of the property that generates more phone calls to the sheriff than any other piece of the cemetery. Northwest of the graves, there's a pond I told you about. If you've heard one story about Bachelor's Grove, it's probably about this pond. The legend goes that during the Prohibition, gangsters from Chicago used this as a dumping grounds. Bodies weighted down where no one would find them. And Al Capone's name gets attached, just like it gets attached to everything in the county. And I'll be straight with you, no legal authority has ever confirmed a single body came out of that water. It's a story, a good one, but a story. What's not a story is what's actually at the bottom of the pond. Headstones. In the 60s and 70s, when this place was being vandalized, people would take the headstones off the graves and throw them into the pond. The pond didn't eat any gangsters, but it did eat the names of the dead. And there's one ghost story out here with a real event under it, which is why I like it. People report a phantom farmer and a horse walking into the pond and going under. Turns out in the 1870s, there was a farmer working a field, and his horse got spooked, and it drug him into the pond. They both drowned. That is in the record. So somewhere under the legend of the haunted pond is just a man who had a very bad afternoon 150 years ago, and a landscape that kept the receipt. And then there's the lights. People report seeing lights out here, blue and red, hovering over the water like they're deciding something. And there's a scientific name for that. It's called ignis fatuus, will-o'-the-wisp. A stagnant pond full of rotting organic matter produces gas, methane mostly, plus trace phosphine, and under the right conditions, it glows and drifts at the surface. And here's the part that took science 300 years to actually nail down. Swamp gas always explained the fuel, but it never explained the spark. Methane doesn't just light itself sitting in cold water. It wasn't until a 2025 study that researchers finally found the ignition source. Rising gas bubbles build up electrical charge, and as they crowd together near the surface, they discharge into each other. Microscopic lightning, striking underwater over and over in total silence. The pond is decomposing, it's breathing, it's running on its own tiny electrical storm just under the surface, and it made its own ghost. I don't think that's less unsettling than a spirit. I think it's more. A body of water can manufacture the exact thing a grieving brain is primed to see, out of pure chemistry, and hand it back to you at dusk when you're already scared. They call her the Madonna of Midlothian, a woman in a flowing white dress, sometimes carrying an infant, moving between the stones, most often near this one, which just reads infant daughter. Some say she's looking for a child she lost. One theory ties her to a woman named Luella Rogers who died in a house fire with her baby. Nobody's ever confirmed that, but the grave is real, so the ache underneath the story is as well. So how does the oldest cemetery in Cook County end up abandoned, vandalized, and its headstones in a pond? In the 50s and 60s, the suburbs filled in around here, but they filled in around Bachelor's Grove, not into it. The road stopped being a road. The families with people buried here had moved on or died themselves. No congregation or caretaker. You end up with an orphaned cemetery, a promise with nobody left to keep it. Because that's what a cemetery is. It's a contract. You bury someone here, the ground stays, and we remember. For about 100 years that held. Then the town emptied, the woods advanced, the suburbs turned their back, and the contract quietly expired. The vandals were just the last people to show up to something everyone else had already abandoned. Cook County took the land in 1976. There's a fence now and patrols after dark. And in 2014, the Forest Preserve came through and cleaned the place up, which I'm glad about. But you can't unabandon a place. You can only start paying attention again. Late. And here's the part that I actually came out here to say. People drive out to Bachelor's Grove to look for ghosts. And I understand the pull. But the ghosts are the small mystery. And the whole region is like this. The forest preserves people love around Chicago, the ones that feel untouched and wild. A lot of them are reclaimed, cleared, farmed, logged, lived on, and then let go. You hike around through what feels like a deep forest, and you're actually walking over foundations. Bachelor's Grove is just the rare case where the woods missed a spot and left the headstones showing. We cleared this ground and swore we'd remember the people we left in it. Forever, we said. And forever turned out to be about 30 years and a good stand of oak. That's the haunting, not the woman in the photograph, but time, and how little of it we get to keep anything for. I'm Gordon, and thanks for coming out here with me. Subscribe if you want to see more nature content like this, and we'll see you out there. And hey, real quick, if you're still here, I really appreciate you. And if you want to support what I do, you can do so on Patreon. Check out the description below for more details on that. Thank you very much for watching.